Today's message at church made me stop and ask myself whether or not the goal of doubling my production for 2026 is aligned with what I say I believe. That question actually stayed with me longer than I expected. At church today, our pastor talked about something and it stopped me in my tracks. And it's the idea that we can't serve both God and money. He was preaching from the Sermon on the Mount, Matthew chapter 6, and talking about how you can't serve both God and money. And I'll post a link to the actual sermon, so if you want to watch it, you certainly can. And I'll also put in the description box below the actual passage he was preaching on today. But basically, when he started to talk about this, it made me really ask myself, am I really doing the right thing by pursuing this goal of doubling my production? Is it all about the money, or is this about something different inside of me? So I really had to dig deep. Now, Pastor did make the point that it's not ungodly to pursue success. It's not against what's taught in the Bible to actually want to have a great place to live or a nice car, or to be able to provide extras or send your kids to college, or whatever monetary pursuit you might be chasing. That's not necessarily ungodly. And so that really helped me put it into perspective, because when I thought about it, knowing that my goal is to double my production, I'd be lying if I said it's not about the money at all. But the money isn't the why behind my goal. The money isn't the why behind the pursuit. I really kind of want to talk about what I'm thinking here, because I'm looking at this and saying, I don't think that the goal is to create a bunch of extra money or wealth or buy more, that type of thing. I think really it's about stewardship. According to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, definition of stewardship is the careful and responsible management of something entrusted to one's care. Okay, this is something I can actually get behind. I don't know, there's just a common misconception that pursuing success or growth or even financial goals, that these things are somehow ungodly. But that's not actually what Scripture teaches. The issue isn't owning things or wanting to grow, but it's where our heart is focused. Money makes a terrible master, but it can be a useful tool. So for me, doubling my production isn't about chasing income or status or comparison to others. It's really about becoming a better steward of what God has already entrusted to me. And what is that? What has God entrusted to me? As a Christian, I do believe that everything I have comes from the Lord. Everything. My drive, my goal-oriented mentality, my type A personality, the things that drive me, all of that's given to me by God. Here's where the tension between that lies, is that God's given me all of these different personality traits and ways of thinking and ways to self-discipline. He has taught me that or blessed it to me naturally, one or the other. And I won't get into all the ways I actually had to learn self-discipline and how very much that matters. Maybe that's a good topic for a future video. In fact, I'll say, let me know if you actually want to see a video about nurturing self-discipline as a handy tool that you can use in your business. If we look at the definition of stewardship, which is careful management of that which is entrusted to me, then I have to look at how am I stewarding different things. So first and foremost, let's talk about my relationships with my clients, my prospects, and my general sphere of influence and my referral sources. Obviously, these are things that I take very seriously and I'm very intentional about. It's how I've built my business, is by being intentional about my relationships. I'm not as much of a transactional agent as I am a relational agent. I believe wholeheartedly in maintaining a relationship once the deal has closed. And that does mean handwritten note cards, or actually I use send out cards, and that's something that I have found to be a really helpful tool. Or just picking up the phone and calling them or texting them something that made me think about them, that type of thing. So I feel like my relationships with people are probably my most important asset. How am I stewarding those relationships? Am I stewarding them in a way that's going to lead to doubling my production, or am I taking them for granted? So the next thing is my time and my energy. How am I stewarding my time and energy? We actually are created to need rest. We are created to need downtime. So I'm not saying that in order to properly steward my time and energy that I have to just be on all the time and it's go. It's not about hustle culture at all. This to me really looks into what are those systems that I have in place. Am I using them properly and putting them to their best possible use on my behalf? Because let's face it, we cannot be all things to all people and in all places at one time, but yet the more productive we get, the busier we get, the more people expect that from us. We have to have some really good systems in place. That's how you steward your time and your energy, is just by maintaining your systems properly. Another thing that is given to me that I need to steward well is my experience and my wisdom. I don't take that lightly. I don't take it for granted, but I also am not the person who goes around and goes, because I've been in the industry for 24 years, you must listen to me. I am well aware that what worked 24 years ago when I very first got into this business doesn't necessarily work today. Now, there are some business principles that are going to maintain your foundation of your business forever and ever, and those things don't change. But along with technology and just different expectations, things that consumers have access to, my role as an agent has changed. And so for me, it's taking all that experience and wisdom and using it in such a way to protect my clients from potential pitfalls in the transactions. Finally, I think it's the opportunities to serve people. That's a really important one. And this is not just in business. I've got things going on personally within my family where I have to really look and say, okay, am I stewarding the opportunity to take care of my loved ones as much as stewarding the opportunity to take care of my clients? So again, healthy work-life balance. Not all of this is strictly about business, but all things have been given to me by God, so I have to steward them wisely. If I take all of those things and package them into the goal of doubling my production, then I can say that if I can serve more families, more people, more clients with excellence, clarity, and integrity, then I'm doing growth the right way. Then my goal of doubling my production really, we could say, is my goal of doubling the number of people I serve. So if I relate it back to the topic at church today, I think what really stood out to me as Pastor Mark Smith was preaching was that I don't need to remove my ambition. I don't need to change my goal of doubling my production, but it is maintaining the proper order of where my priorities lie. So for me, that looks like Jesus first, people second, business third, and money last. And I've always held this belief about my business that if I can help enough people get what they want, then monetarily I will get what I want. And it doesn't mean that I don't care about what I'm making. I'm very intentional about what I charge for my service. I am not a discount agent by any means. Doesn't mean I don't have certain instances where I do grant discounts. But for the most part, I have a fee I anticipate to make. And again, it goes back to my time, my talent, my wisdom and experience. All of those things go into play. So I think that's really important. But if I keep these things in the right order, so if I continue to put Jesus first, and what does that look like? It means spending time with him every day, spending time in his word, making sure I'm spending time in prayer. When they ask Jesus, what is the greatest commandments? There's all these commandments. What are the greatest? And Jesus says, the first is to love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, and soul. And the second is to love others as you love yourself. And in these two things, all commandments are wrapped up. So if you do those things, God first, people second, you're going to be fine. Business is third, and then money last. So if I keep everything in that order, then the pressure's off. I don't need to worry about if I'm losing my way or making my goal of doubling my production bigger than what it actually needs to be. It takes off pressure and it gets rid of fear. Just to be completely transparent, there is some fear about not just having the goal to double my production, but to put it out there first thing in the year. Now, it'd be really easy if I said maybe October comes along and I'm really close to doubling my production for the year. And that's when I start the video series. It's actually January 4th as of this recording. And here I am. So yeah, there's a lot of pressure there and there is some fear, but it all feels lighter if I can just keep my priorities in the right order. Yes, I'm chasing the number of transactions as the goal, but I get to the goal by truly counting how many people do I get to help? How many people do I get to serve in real estate? And so that makes a big difference. I guess what I'm trying to say is if I double my production and I meet that goal, but I do it by compromising the values that I personally believe in, and I lose my peace or my integrity or my sense of purpose, then even if I hit the number of transactions, I didn't really achieve success. Does that make sense? Are you personally on a growth journey? Are you in real estate and trying to maybe double your production or do more in 2026 than you did in the previous year? I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Do you think that the pursuit of success compromises a pursuit of a faith-based relationship with Jesus? Whether you believe in Jesus or not, I would love to hear your thoughts on that. So anyway, until next time, bye for now.